welcome back to another video. This is Beyond Wisdom, aka Flawed Excuses, back with a topic. This topic is pretty heated at the moment. It is involving video games, gun violence, and the association or causation between gaming and the people who lead this country when it comes to the NRA and everyone else that is blind to the media that we enjoy. These people are the same ones that used to pick on rock and roll, the same ones that use music for causation for killing people or attacking cops or some other excuse. Whenever a topic relates to video games, it has been debunked 1,000 times over through various studies across the globe for the past 26 years in relation to causation with video games and violence and its history. I personally think that this kind of scapegoating is for shallow, insecure people who don't understand the realities of gun violence. Gun violence affects everybody across the globe, but it just happens to affect Americans a lot more. Our obsession with gun violence or gun use and gun ownership dates back to our Second Amendment, which I personally actually think is an outdated article. The weapons of choice at that era were of different designs, and they were designed as either one-shot pistols or as ways to maim or to deter people, not blatantly just straight up kill them. But that is another topic, for another day. My opinion is just my opinion. So, on with the story. The story goes as follows. It is an Ars Technica article. It is written by Kyle Orland, and it involves Kentucky's governor. Kentucky's governor actually states that video games, not guns, are to blame for school shootings. And this article by Kyle Orland, he starts as following. In the wake of a shooting that has left at least 17 dead on Wednesday in a high school outside Boca Raton, Florida, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin focused on violent video games as part of a culture of death that is being celebrated in leading to these incidents. There are video games that, yes, are listed for mature audiences, but kids play them and everybody knows it, and there's nothing to prevent the child from playing them, Bevin said in an interview from WHAS's Leland Conway show Thursday morning. They celebrate the slaughtering of people. There are games that literally replicate and give people the ability to score points. Like this is 1980. There's no fucking scoring system in a video game. I do digress, that is. Doing this very same thing that these students are doing inside of schools, where you get extra points for finishing off someone who's not in there begging for their life. Well, he sounds like that in real life, because that's what happens when you have people who do not understand a piece of media or medium, because they have no interest in it. Are they interacting with video games? I highly doubt Mr. Bevin actually plays video games. Or his interpretation of them is something from the 1980s, where they make the assumption that these children are being affected by video games. Well, for one, these games are fiction. Actions that are taken in these games are fiction for a reason. It's an escapism. There's no realism. If you are brain dead stupid and can't understand the difference between reality and fiction in your game systems, you need to seek help. Just like the people who are actually discussing these topics, like Mr. Bevin and his half-assed freaking reply for the scapegoating. If I sound a little salty in this video, it's because inept people like him that have no comprehension in engaging media of any form that's not out of his expertise and scapegoating it for the lives of 17 kids that died in this school could go fuck off. But anyways, I will go back to his quotes, and I will continue to mock this man. There are quite unquote video games that they're forced down our throats under the guise of protected speech, Conway continued, seemingly referring to a 2011 Supreme Court decision that prevents content based restrictions on games. It's garbage. It's the same as pornography. They have desensitized people in the value of human life, through the dignity of women, through the dignity of human decency. We're reaping what we've sown here. This man's inept excuse for trying to explain something he does not understand is pathetic and petty, and people that are his age or older, once they've passed away and have lost their freaking will to discuss these topics, will be for the better. But I digress again. I'll return to the article. When Conway asked if Bevin was interested in a ban of these types of games or merely more parental oversight of children's access, Bevin asked for media producers to take some responsibility for their works. I think we need to start by having an honest question about what value any of these things add, he said. Why do we need a video game, for example, that encourages people to kill people? How about that holy book you guys praise so much? It's got tons and tons of violence in it. There are books across the globe that have violence in them. It's called escapism, you fucking handies. I'm sorry, but that is fact. And then he blames music as an example. Whether it's lyrics, whether it's TV shows, whether it's movies, I'm asking the producers of these products, to these video games, and these movies, ask yourself what redemption value, other than shock value, other than the hope you'll make a couple bucks off it. At what price? At what price? Video games and other cultural products are part of a long list of causes Bevin has suggested for the increase in school shootings and the nation's loss of its moral compass. Parents, churches, and schools have all been abdicated their responsibility to hold children to task, he said, leading kids to make their own rules without fear of consequences. He also made brief references to the prevalence of medications and harmful side effects as a potential cause. Okay, that has partial truth to it, but at the same time, that's still using it as a scapegoat. Bevin recalled that children used to regularly bring guns to school after Christmas when he was a child, and said that changes to society that have led to these children using these guns in schools today. We as adults have to stop acting like children ourselves. We need to step up and say what is right, what is wrong. I'm sorry if my voice of mocking this freaking POS is freaking getting on you, but I'm still gonna keep mocking him. This isn't the first time Bevin has cited games as a partial cause of school violence. In a Facebook video posted days after a January shooting in Benton, Kentucky, Bevin included video games as part of the entertainment industry filth that is desensitizing young people into actual tragedy, reality tragedies, and permanency of death. Games have been a favored explanation for school shootings and other youth violence among many other commentators, at least since the shooters in the 1999 Columbine incident. Some media reports focus on the 2007's Virginia Tech shooters' love of Counter-Strike, and claim in his trial that he trained for his rampage and using Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. God, these guys are so fucking dense. Okay. Florida lawyer Jack Thompson, who is the most loudest one and the biggest piece of shit of the bunch, has linked video games and real-world violence for years before he was disembarred in disgrace in 2008. But violent video games as a potential cause of real shootings is an idea that's been floated in some form by everyone from the NRA to President Obama over the past years. International comparisons per capita spent on violent video games and gun-related murder show a negative correlation between the two, and meta-analysis of video game violence studies have found no real link between imaginary on-screen violence and actual aggressive behavior. No link. Long-term longitudinal studies of children from the 1990s show only very minor increase in behavioral problems from children who played violent video games, while other research has shown that violent video game players actually do become desensitized to violence, at least in the short term. That's like that across the board with any media. Science aside, video games and other violent media will likely be the focus for politicians and commentators looking forward. Well, I hope that they fail in their disgrace for not taking the accountability of weapons and the person who has shot and taken the lives of people in the past several years of any gun violence. And I'm sorry if it sounded like I was ranting a lot in this video, but it is disgusting to the point of breaking. And I'd like to thank anyone who stopped by and watched my video to the end. And I'd like to shout out to all the broadband bullies for any support they push. Check us all out online. Follow us wherever we are. Ain't far to fall. Thank you again. Thanks for stopping in. And I hope you guys enjoy your night.